The beginning of the story. According to a legend in the northern continent, there exists a tree that has the power to control all life. A tree called Karista. Long ago, those who believed that the tree power would one day manifest wage a war to seize it. Yet no one succeeded in becoming Karista master. And so, thereafter, in order to ensure that no one could have access to Karista, the kings of each of the 5 continents agreed to have the tree locked up. Many years later, a baby girl was found on the doorstep of the Central Continent Imperial Palace. She had earthy green hair and big brown eyes. And Karista. Because the child had a birthmark that resembled Karista, she was the promptly crowned princess of the Central Continent, and she was given the name Elise. To awaken her powers, Elise studied hard and trained endlessly. However, she showed no signs of any powers. She was sad, and so, eventually, the young master was confined to a separate wing of the castle. Maid was said to Elise that, "Your Highness, your meal's ready." When Elise seeing towards the meal, she say that splosh, oh no, the maid was upset and remained silent. Then Elise saying to her that it's probably from all that rain yesterday. But don't worry, it's perfectly. Elise thinking that I don't want to burden anyone over something like this. At that moment the room door opened and the majesty of the Central Continent came there. When Elise seeing towards him, she thinking that he is never come here before. I wonder why he is come. Elise say, "Your Majesty." Then the Central Imperial say that I see you are still surrounded by wild animals. As usual, I have decided to have you marry the Prince of the North. She was upset and think I the North. Then she replied to him that but wasn't I supposed to marry the Prince of the East? Central Imperial was angrily say that what good will come from marrying a prince who can't inherit the throne? Besides, they say the people of the North are barbarians, who practically worship nature. In my opinion, it's the perfect place for you. Wouldn't you agree? Think about it. A girl of unknown origin who doesn't possess a drop of Karista powers. All you do is attract wild animals. How barbaric. You have done nothing but disappoint me. If you finally wish to repay the kindness I have shown you all these years, then be useful and marry the Prince of the North. Start packing your things. Else was drop on the floor. Then the Imperial Central Prince turn and say that you will be leaving for the Northern Continent in a week's time. After that, she was going towards the outside of the room. Wild animals also reached there. Animals asked to the Elise that what's wrong. Then the animals conversation to each other and say that how do you know something wrong? You idiot. Can't you tell from her face? Then she drop on the floor and weeping. Then Sparrow say that oh, Elise. Our beautiful Elise. Then dog say that who made you cry, Elise? Rabbit say that who did this to you? Cat say that those are tears are not they? Elise, what happened? Elise replied to them that I won't be able to see you guys anymore. Then Rabbit say that no. Why, Elise? That can't be. Cat say, simmer down. Let's hear her out first. After that, Elise tells them that I am moving to a place far away to get married. They all surprise and say married. Dog say that then we will go with you. Rabbit say yeah, we will follow you, else. She tells them that the place I am going to is extremely cold. And food is scarce there, so even if you do follow me, I am afraid you won't be able to survive for very long. Dog say that I don't care. I am going with you. Elise replied to him that shut up, you idiot. Dog say thy idiot. You are the idiot, you bird. Brain. Then Elise remember the Central Prince words that he say that they are barbarians who practically worship nature. Then she thinking that I wonder if the Northern Prince expects me to have some kind of power too. It's all. She seeing towards the Karista mark and say because of this. After some time later, the Central Prince caught a bunny on his hand and asked to Elise that the servants tell me, they have seen you talk to animals, is that true? If so, tell me what this rabbit saying. Then he squirm bunny leg. Elide asked to Rabbit that hey, little rabbit, are you all right? Bunny replied to her that this guy broke my leg. He is a nasty man. To hell with him. Elise saying to Bunny that sounds painful. I will tell him to get you treated right away. Wait. He broke the bunny leg. Then Elise thinking and for what? So that he could see Karista power in action. If I correctly guess what's wrong with the rabbit, then what next? He definitely won't stop here with just this one rabbit. Elise replied to the Central Princess that I am not sure. Your Majesty. Then she thinking that if my ability becomes known, countless weak and powerless animals will no doubt be sacrificed. I must not let anyone find out about my ability. On the other side, Northern Continent Prince was sitting on the chair. Suddenly Isaka entered into the room and saying to Prince that it seems people are looking forward to welcoming the bride with such legendary powers. Prince say that it's just a legend though. I doubt she has any real powers. But it should be enough of a justification. Isaka say that at the very least, it gives our proud northerners a reason to view this political marriage in a positive light. Prince replied to him that well then, let's get ready to welcome this legendary bride, Isaka. On the other side in Central Continent, Elise was ready. When people seeing towards her, they whisper to each other and say that is the princess. Who lives in that one isolated wing, right? She is basically being sold off to those northern barbarians. Say, can we even consider her a princess in the first place? She smile and thinking that I can hear you guys. At that moment Central Imperial King arrived there. The king saying to Elise that congratulations on your marriage. My precious daughter, Elise. Then the king caught her arm and say that all the best as you enter this new phase of your life. And king think that live it out quietly, like a dead rat. Suddenly many crows came there. King was afraid and saying to else that is he giving you trouble. One guard asked to the king that are you all right, your majesty. Elise shake her hands and saying to crows that I am fine. Don't worry. After that king say that they must be sad to see the princess leave. After that, she was going towards carriage, she thinking, but I haven't said goodbye to my animal friends. Animals were sad and say that else. Promise, you will come visit. Don't forget us. Stay strong else. When she was sitting in the carriage, she was also sad and thinking about the animals. I will make sure no animals get harmed because of me. And to do that, I need to stay strong and keep my chin up. In the way, she seeing the beautiful sight and say wow. It's hard to believe that this beautiful land is called the land of barbarians, because of coldness, she was shiver, she say that it's beautiful, but it sure is freezing. Then she touch her face, she was surprised and say ah, my face is burning up. Elise was not feeling well and say no, please stop. Some years ago, Central King saying to Elise that if you can just awaken your powers, we will be able to build an army of strong animals. Then King shake the Elise and asked to her that are you sure you don't understand what these animals are saying? Eastern Prince seeing the behavior of King to Elise. Then King of Eastern saying to son that you and your fiancé have a lot in common, Lucio. The way you're both keeping secrets. Take those secret to the grave with you, Lucio. I will promise you riches. If you vow to just keep your head down until your older brother ascends the throne. Can you promise me that? Lucio replied to him that yes, I give you my word, father. Elise was drop on the floor and crying. Then Lucio came near to Elise and smile. She was surprised and say that Lucio Pentaro. Of the Eastern Continent. Lucio saying to her that allow me to help you up, Elise. On the other side, in the Eastern Continent, Royal Palace. Lucio thinking about the Elise and say Elise, in innocent had a face. Guard knocking at the door. Prince Lucio say that come in. Guard gave him a letter. Lucio say a letter. Then the guard say Princess Elise. Lucio was surprised and say a letter from Elise. Then guard say that it states that she is on her way to the Northern Continent. To marry its prince. After that, Lucio read the letter and say that him. So, since I failed to ascend the throne, he is marrying his daughter off the heir of the North's throne instead. I can't say, I was not expecting this from the Central Continent king. Is being queen so important that he would go as far as to sell poor Elise off to the land of the barbarians? Then guard asked to him that what will you do, your highness? Lucio replied to him, when the time comes, I will be there to lend her a helping hand. On the other side, Elise's health was not well because of coldness. After that, carriage stopped for taking some rest. The guard opened the carriage door, and saying to Elise that we will be taking a short rest, your highness. Elise was trembling because of cool wind blowing and she think that it's freezing. Then she asked to the guard that is there anything I can wrap myself in? Could you prepare a change of warm clothes for me? The guard replied to her that I am sorry, but we don't have any warm clothes on hand. She was shocked and say that how is that possible? Everyone knows how cold the Northern Continent. Then guard saying to her that it's the king's orders. He wants you looking beautiful in that dress until you reach the northern continent. Then she remember the king's central conversation that be useful for once. And marry the prince of the north. Then she thinking useful. No one cares if I freeze to death. All they care about is sending me off to the northern continent. I am sure, I will be the same up in the north too. No one will look out for me there either. After that, she saying to the guard that then please bring me all the spare clothes you have on hand. It's up to me to look out for myself. Then she wear all the spare dress to cover herself. After taking some rest, they again sitting on the carriage. She was sad and thinking that my fever's getting worse. Then she shake her head and say no, no. I can't fall all now. I need to stay strong. On the other side, North Continent people were excited to welcome the new princess of the North. At least the carriage arrived at the land of barbarians. One guy say that so the princess of the so great and noble central continent has finally arrived at the land of the barbarians. Isaka saying to the guards that get ready to welcome Princess Elise. The guards replied to him that yes, sir. When guards seeing towards the Elise, they was surprised and say, is that all she packed? The other one say and what's up with that thin dress? Don't they know what the weather's like up here? At this rate, she is gonna freeze to death before even reaching the palace. Isaka thinking that even if she is a princess of unknown lineage, she is being married off for political gain. And yet, they were treating her so poorly. After that, Isaka came near to the Elise and say that it's an honor to meet you, Princess Elise. Then he introduce himself and say that I am Isaka, your interpreter. She say that nice to meet you, Isaka. Then she thinking that these people look nothing like he barbarians I have been told about. Then Isaka asked to her that it looks like they are done transferring your belongings, would you like to ride in our carriage, your highness? She replied to him that I would like that very much. When he sitting in the carriage, she feel warm and think that wow, it's so warm in here. Then Isaka tells her that we have prepared a warm coat for you, Princess Elise. Then Elise asked to him that how is the northern continent carriage so warm? Isaka replied to her that it's made with a thick material that blocks out the cold. Elise say I see. After that, girl saying to her that please have some tea, your highness. Elise was surprised when she drank a warm cup of tea, and asked to them that how were you able to prepare such a warm cup of tea? Isaka replied to her that we lit a fire and prepared some hot water before you arrived. Then Isaka think that being so touched by something as simple as this. I can tell how she has been treated so far. Isaka saying to him that please allow us to safely escort you to the Northern Continent Palace. And do we let me know, if there is anything you need. Elise think that all talk about Northerners being barbarians is nothing but a bunch of baseless rumors. Suddenly carriage jolting. Isaka order their guards that don't let your guard down. Guards saying to Isaka that it seems a pack of wolves has appeared, but there is nothing to worry about, your highness. Elise lift the curtain to see that what happened. Then Isaka said to the Elise that our guards are armed and ready. They are gonna fight off the wolves. Princess Elise, everything under control. Elise fling the outside of the carriage and think that sound. The wolves followed me here. Because they think I am in danger. What should I do? At this rate, both the guards and wolves will be in danger. But if I intervene, then she remember, when the king caught a rabbit and asked to her that the servants tell me. They have seen you talk to animals. Is that true? Then king squirmed the rabbit and asked to her that tell me what this rabbit's saying. Then she thought that they might catch on to the fact that I can communicate with animals. But if I don't do something. Now, after that, she came outside of the carriage. Isaka tried to stop her and say that Princess Elise, it's dangerous out there. Then Elise asked to the wolves that ate you. The pack leader. One wolf replied to her that these men are dangerous. The scent of blood they carry can be smelled from a mile away. You need to stay away from them. Then she asked to the wolf, but do you know that you smell of blood too? Wolf remained silent. You shed blood to protect your beloved mate, cubs, and pack. Then the wolf leader say that it's the same for humans. We make sacrifices to protect those dear to us. She said to the leader wolf, so please, don't worry about me. I am safe in their hands. Wolves came back after Elise conservation with them. Guards and Isaka was shocked to seeing that. Isaka think that she calmed the wolves down. One guard asked to the Isaka that What? What just happened? Isaka replied to him that we must not ever speak of what we just witnessed here tonight. She stagger and Isaka hold her and ask to her that are you all right? Then Isaka check her head and say she was burning up. Isaka saying to the girl that get me some medicine now. Elise say that I am fine. Isaka tell her that the medicine we have on hand is not strong enough. We need to hurry. After some time later, the carriage reached at the palace. Guards on the palace gate say that incoming carriage. They open the gates. Isaka carry Elise and enter into the palace inside. Then he saying to the servants that she has a bad cold. Get me some medicine immediately. One guard say that she does not seem to be doing too well. I hope she will get better. The other guard smile and say that sick on her arrival, huh? Is not this bad sign? Prince was stand on the behind of that guard. The first guard say that behind you. Prince orders them that you are all dismissed. Then Prince saying to Isaka that it's best if I carry my fiancé. Then Prince carry Elise. Prince think that she is much frailer than I would expected. Elise blind her eyes and angry voice. Asked that who is he? Then she thinking that he is handsome. Am I dreaming? Prince replied to her that Kaylee. Fienna. Then she think that if this is the Northern Continent Palace, then that means he is. Prince was upset and say Elise seems to be feeling unwell. Let's get her to bed immediately. Doctor came there for Elise checkup. Isaka saying to Prince that it seems her fever developed after leaving the central continent. Prince remained silent. Then Isaka say that this may push back the intended schedule. Prince replied to him that it's fine. There is no need to hurry. Help her get adjusted to life here. Once she gets well, Isaka thinking that it would be best to hold off on reporting what happened with the wolves for now. She rustle and try to sit down. Then Isaka asked to her that how do you feel? She replied to him that I feel like I took a really long nap. She asked to him that how long was I asleep for? Isaka replied to her about 2 days. She was shocked and say that 2 whole days. Isaka tells her that your fever subsided faster than expected. You even snored a bit once your fever went down. She was surprised and say I snored. Isaka replied to her that it was a joke, Your Highness. Then she asked to Isaka that oh, well, I feel completely energized. Should I start on the wedding preparations? Since there is still time before the wedding, would you like to look around the palace first? I would love to. After that, Isaka and Elise walk away to seeing the palace. She was shocked and say I thought there would be constant snowfall here. But the weather really nice and sunny. Isaka telling her that it snowed a few days ago. But it melted quite quickly. Since it's now spring. She was surprised and say that spring in northern continent. Then Isaka say, and since it's now spring, I believe the animals have been let out. Isaka asked to her that would you like to see them? Then they saw rabbits there. Elise was surprised and asked to him that wow. Everything is so well set up here. Is the palace raising these rabbits? Isaka replied to her that well, actually, the palace doesn't raise any animals aside from warhorses. This space has been set up for animals that simply come in search of shelter. You can find spaces like this in common household too. Then Elise thinking that is such a stark contrast to the central continent. People there don't care if animals are locked up. After that, Isaka asked to her that do the rabbits look a little different from the ones you are used to? Oh, most definitely. The rabbits, they tend to have thicker fur. The color of their fur is darker too. She startled, and thinking that who is that? I have never seen her before. A swarm of rabbits. Then she introduced herself and saying to rabbits that hi there. I am Elise. I am from the central continent. Rabbits was shocked and gasped to each other and say that oh my goodness. What's that around her neck? Eep. What a cruel human. Rabbits are enraged. Elise was upset and asked to them that why, what is wrong? Is there something wrong with my neck? Isaka asked to her that are you feeling all right? Elise replied to him that is this. Then she asked to him that made of rabbit fur. Isaka replied to her that yes, it is. Is there something wrong with it? She pulled the coat and saying to Isaka that no matter how cold the weather is, I will never wear a coat made of animal's fur. Isaka replied to her that I will keep that in mind, Your Highness. Rabbits are angry and saying to Elise that humph. As if that all bring the dead rabbits back to life. Elise saying to them that I didn't wear it on purpose. I swear. I didn't know it was made of rabbit fur. Rabbits say that we don't want such a cruel human like you coming here anymore. Get lost. Don't come back here ever again. Elise was upset and say that I am sorry. I am really sorry. She thinking that the rabbits are hurt because of me. What should I do? Isaka was thinking that seems like things are not looking too good. After some time later, Isaka telling the prince that thankfully, Princess Elise made a speedy recovery and even took around the palace earlier today. Princes asked to him that are all central continent women that frail. Isaka replied to him that it seems the king of the central continent for her not to be given proper meals. From what I gathered, her servants seem to have treated her poorly as well. And they call us the barbarians. There is one more thing. I would like to report, Your Highness. Princess Elise seems to possess the ability to communicate with animals. Then Prince asked to him that does this have to do with those wolves you encountered on the way here? I suspected something was missing in the chief guard's reports. Isaka replied to him that it was I who ordered him to exclude that, Your Highness. Prince was surprised and asked to him that why. Then Isaka replied to him that because it wasn't the guards who drove the wolves away. It was Princess Elise. When the guards were facing off those wolves, Princess Elise intervened and calmed the angry pack down. After that, they left peacefully. Prince asked to him that are you sure? It was because of her. It might have just been luck. Isaka replied to him that is a definitely possibility. But, what was more surprising than the wolves leaving peacefully, was the fact that Princess Elise showed no sign of fear. Prince asked to him that you are telling me a frail princess like her. Then Isaka replied to him that stood unarmed in front of a pack of wild wolves. Yes, such an action is impossible unless she strongly believed those wolves wouldn't attack her. It appeared as if she was talking to the rabbits down on the farm this morning too. Although things got a bit tense, since she went there wearing a scarf made of rabbit fur. Price say that she must have been tormented. Then Isaka said to him that by the rabbits, Your Highness. In this part, Prince saying to Isaka that by Winard, I can imagine just how he treated her. He probably tried awakening her powers. Just so he could exploit them. I guess it is quite a big deal. Then Prince thinking that if Elise truly does possess Karista powers. After some time later, Elise was ready to eat first meal with Prince. She was nervous and thinking that my first meal with Kaylee. I really wish I hadn't met him when I was passes out. She glance on Prince and think that I wonder what he think of me. Is he curious about my birthmark? At that moment Kaylee asked to her that is the food not to your taste. She jumped and replied to Prince that no, it's very delicious. Then everyone remained silent and Elise start eating meal. Then Prince saying to Elise that I heard you ran into some trouble during your visit to the farm. She laughed and replied to him that I tried getting close to the cute rabbits there, but it's not as easy as I would thought. Prince say that of course, since you went there wearing a scarf made of rabbit fur. That was no doubt a grave mistake. The royal servants would have prepared a rabbit fur scarf had they known you would be visiting the farm. Then Prince warned the servants that from now on, please only prepared clothing made from cotton for Princess Elise. I believe that all be warm enough. Then Prince asked to Elise FBT is that all right with you, Elise? Elise was nervous and replied to him that yes, I would like that very much. Prince say, but what I really want to know is, how did you manage to drive the wolves away? Elise replied to him that about that. Then she thinking that they found out my secret, what do I do? Prince saying to her that it seems you were extremely lucky. Elise saying to him that, I am sorry. Then Prince say, I was informed that the guards' torches scared off the wolves. I applaud your courage. But please keep in mind that wolves are dangerous animals. So please put your safety first next time. Elise replied to him that right, I will. After that, Prince asked to Elise that are you done eating? Elise replied to him that yes. Thank you, Kaylee. It was delicious. Then she glanced towards the Kaylee and thinking does he really have no idea. After eating meal, Isaka saying to Elise that today, I will take you through the castle and tell you more about the northern continent. We will start off by visiting the place, where we often get the first glimpse of spring. When Elise seeing the castle, she was surprised and say wow. Flowers are beautiful, no matter the continent. When she saw goes on the sky and say that the same goes for how adorable the animals are. At that moment, she saw a lady on the other side of garden. Elise thinking that who is she? She is beautiful. Don't tell me she is. Royals and nobles in the central continent. Think nothing of having multiple lovers, even if already married. Then Elise think that is she Kaylee's secret lover. Where did she go? At that moment, Isaka saying to her that Princess Elise, are you looking for something? Elise replied to him that no nothing. Nothing at all. Isaka saying to her that I see. Well, in any case, take a look at this. This is what I went off to find. Then Isaka gave her a stick. She was surprised and say a twing. Isaka replied to her yes, but not just any twing. It's a Kanzuk twing. Next day, Elise visit the rabbit's house. Rabbits are angry to see her there. Elise saying to them that hello, remember me. Rabbits replied to her that how dare you show your face here again. I knew it the moment you came here with our fur hung around your neck. You shameless witch. Then she show the twinge. Rabbits were surprised and say Kanzuk. Kanzuk. Ah. It smells so nice. She requested to them that please, accept this as a token of my apology. I promise never to. Suddenly one rabbit grabbed the twing to the Elise hand, and saying to other rabbits that come on, you guys, she is trying her best. Why don't you stop giving her a hard time, huh? The swarm of rabbits say that you are right. We shouldn't be so hard on someone who is trying to do good. Agreed. My mom taught me to give people second chances. Elise turned happily and saying to Isaka that I am so glad there are Kanzuk trees around here. Prince hide to seeing all that sight. Elise say that I sense some dark energy over there. Isaka replied to her it's nothing. Prince remained silent and thought that guess that's all the proof I need. After that, they visiting the library. Elise was sitting on the table and start reading book. Isaka was surprised and say that you can do it, your highness. Then Isaka saying to her that once the ceremony over, the people will refer to you as Per. She was surprised and say Per. That sounds beautiful. Then she asked to him that is there a reason for using that particular title. Isaka replied to her that in the northern continent, a Per is someone who carries the responsibilities and duties equivalent to those of a king. She was shocked and say responsibilities and duties. Isaka said to her that the Perez of the northern continent share all political and military power as well. It's very different from the central continent. Elise said to him that title definitely carries a lot of weight and influence. Then Isaka saying to her that more importantly, it's obligatory to consummate your marriage after the ceremony. She was blushing and say that consummate. Isaka replied to her yes. Once the wedding over, you are to share the same room as Prince Kaylee and consummate your marriage. She was worried and thinking that he is right. It's a matter of course for a married couple to consummate their marriage. Then she remember the lady that she seeing in the garden and think but, what if Kaylee really does have a secret lovers? After that, she holds some books on her hands and going towards the outside of library. Because she was worried, she wobble and some books fell down. She was sitting and try to bring the books and think that what's wrong with me. At that time, Price came there. She was thought that he is so scary. Would he be smiling right now? If it wasn't me, but her by his side. She shake her head and think that get that out of your head. You don't even know if it's true. Stop jumping to conclusions. Then Prince ordered the servants to take care of her. She was lying on the bed, and thinking that I need to learn the northern continent language as soon as possible. When the servants going towards the outside of room, she sit down and again start reading. She thought that it would have been nice, if I would studied it before coming here. I will just have to study extra hard from now on. The Perez of the northern continent share all political and military power as well. Will I be able to become a respectable Per? On the other side, the Estran Prince Lucio hit the Flutter's birds. One guard appreciate him and say that a direct hit, your highness. Then Lucio sit down on the chair and asked to the servant that did you look into what I asked about? Servant replied to him that as Princess Elise had been asleep for 2 days. All they have done so far is have a meal together, your highness. Then Lucio asked to him that so the two barely spent any time together. Servant hesitate and replied to the prince that yes, that's correct. But Lucio smile and say go on. One lady servant stating to prince that the northerns are considering a bad sign that the future Per was ill. When she entered the royal palace. Prince laughs ha ha ha. The servants are flinch, when the prince laughs. Then prince say a bad sign. What a barbaric way of thinking. Then prince asked to the servants that would not you agree. Seems like it won't be long before I lend her helping hand again. On the other side, Elise opened the door. She was reading a book and say that the South uses a lot of spices in their cooking, while the North focuses more on bringing flavors in their food. Then she say that I didn't know the difference in climate would have such an impact on the food as well. When she turned, Prince stand on the back side of her. She seeing towards the prince and thinking that why is my heart beating so fast? Is it because Kaylee sprung up on mine just now? Kaylee asked to her that overzealous, aren't you? And walk Wyatt towards the dinner room. She say that I didn't understand him. Then she think that alright. I have gotta study way more about the northern continent. After that, they both sitting for dinner. Servants start serving the meal. She observed the meal, and Kaylee stare to her. Kaylee saying to Isaka that it's like, she is here to study, not to get married. Isaka replied to him that well, perhaps because, she has a great teacher guiding her. All she's doing is staring at her food. It's no wonder she is so thin. Oh, it seems we failed to consider Princess Ellie's food preferences. Then perhaps something she will enjoy next time. Then Kaylee say that something sweet, like cake. Isaka replied to him that yes, your highness. I shall inform the chef. She was jolting when Isaka asked to her that Princess Ellie's, how are you finding the food? She was flustered and replied to him that bits very delicious. Kaylee saying to Isaka that she looks like a squirrel. Don't interpret that. On the other side, Ellie's was sullen and think that I wonder if I will ever be able to put a smile on Kaylee face one day. After that, she going to the garden to seeing rabbits. One rabbit say that hey, don't make that face while I am eating this delicious twinge. It's rude. Ellie's smile. The rabbit was angry asked to her that what are you laughing at? She lied to the rabbit that I used to be scared of my ability. But now, I am glad. I have it because I get to communicate with you guys. She put hand on rabbit head then rabbit say, hey. Don't pet my head without asking. Humph. Suddenly they listen the sound of some one step in the garden. Rabbit said to her that sound, it's coming from the garden. Elise walk away to seeing that where is coming from that voice. Then she was standing on the back side of tree stem, and seeing a woman in black dress. She think that it's that woman I saw other day. Now that I think about it, she actually looks a bit old to be Kaylee lovers. Then she saw that women walk away towards Kyle. Some flower of women ribbon dropped down on the book of Kaylee. Women was gaze him, and then she pluck the one flower. Kaylee seeing towards the woman and smile. Next day, on the dinner table, Kaylee gazed the Elise, but today she was upset and silent. She was thinking that I just can't get over how he looked so happy this morning with her, but now seems so sad. Suddenly, servants decorated the table and making a special meal for Elise. When she saw a cake, she was surprised and say oh. This is. Then Isaka said to her that we have prepared some desserts from the central continent for you, Princess Elise. She asked to Isaka that you did all this just for me. She checked the piece of cake and tear came out on her eyes. She stand up and say that I am so sorry. Please excuse me. And she walk away outside. Servants was shocked that what happened to Princess Elise. Elise was upset and meet the rabbits. When rabbits seeing the Elise, they saw it's Elise. Then rabbits asked to her that did you bring some Kanzik twing with you? She was weeping. Rabbits were also worried and say that what's wrong, Elise? Is it because you couldn't find any Kanzik twings? Other rabbits say that enough with the twings already. What's so great about them? That you are willing to make Elise cry over them, huh? Other ones say that what? You are the one who told her not to come here without any Kanzik twings. Well, it's still your fault that she is crying. Elise replied to them that no, it's not because of that. Then rabbits asked to Elise, then, did someone hurt you? Bring them here, and I will teach them a lesson. Elise replied to them that no, it's just, I seem to keep running into the same problem over and over. It's been really weighing on me. What I mean is, being with someone who doesn't love you, but is instead forced to be with you, is just so difficult. Then Rabbit asked to her that who in the world doesn't love you? How could they possibly not love you? Then Elise smiled and replied to him, Kaylee, I think he is in love with someone else. One rabbit asked to her that, wait. Are you talking about that gigantic crow? So that gigantic crow name is Kaylee, huh? You mean that head crow, who is always glaring, right? Yup. The one who looks really mean. Elise remained silent. Then one rabbit say, but that bug crow only ever has other males around him. I have never sensed any female sense coming of him either. Dwelling on this is not gonna give you any Kanzik twings, Elise. So why don't you just ask him and get this all off of your chest? Then Elise, thinking that they are right. I can't go back on my promise. I need to stay strong. Then she saying to the rabbits that all right. You guys are right. Crying over this is not going to solve anything. Rabbits saying to her that is right. You can do it. That's the way to go, Elise. After that, she came back to the room, where Kaylee and Isaka talking to each other. Elise think that he is not alone. What should I do? She was determined and start stride towards the Isaka. After that, she grab Isaka arm and push him towards the outside of the room. Kaylee was surprised and stared towards the Elise hand that what happened. Isaka saying to her that wait, fought. Prince was angry and say abandoned. What in the world just happened? Elise pushed Isaka. He was afraid and asked to Elise, may I know what's going on? Elise asked to him that can you promise me, you will answer what I am about to ask you honestly. Isaka replied to her that ask me what? Then she say that promise me first. She hesitant but she said to him that, does Kaylee have a secret lover? Are you trying to come up with an excuse? Isaka was shocked and replied to her that no, your highness. Then she said to him that look, I saw her in the garden. She is Kaylee lover, is not she? Then Isaka asked to her that you saw Kaylee lover in the garden. The garden, huh? Isaka kneel down and say that Princess Elise, you really gave me a fright. Ahahaha. Isaka asked to her that you are referring to the women with the long, dark hair, aren't you? Princess Elise, don't you think she resembles someone? Then Elise thought and say that dark hair. Then Isaka replied to her that the woman you saw in the garden is Price Kaylee mother. It seems you misunderstood their relationship. Now I see why you ran out during dinner. When she listened that she was stagger. Isaka hold her and asked to her that Princess Elise. Are you all right? She was repent and feeling bad. Then she saying to Isaka that I am sorry, if I acted out of line. I did not know how else to bring it up. Isaka replied to her that I see. Well, I am sure. It was not an easy thing for you to address either. I am just sorry. I couldn't tell you beforehand. You see, the nature of the circumstances. I had no idea. It would cause such a misunderstanding. Then he say that please have a seat. She sit down and asked to him that the woman I saw in the garden, Kaylee mother. Is her name Le Pen? Isaka replied to her that yes. And she was once a mother not just to Kaylee, but to all of us northerners as well.